Then we move to the ethical conduct. And the first one is speech. And the speech is not only how you speak towards others, it's also how you speak to yourself. If you from now on decide that with your speech, both the speech that you have towards yourself and your thoughts, when you're talking to yourself, but also when you talk to others, is going to be inspirational. I'm going to lift everybody that I talk with. If I can't inspire, then I'm not going to open my mouth. If you have that decision in you, and then choose honesty, mindfulness, and loving kindness. There's a really good sutta which I can recommend you to read. That's called the Abhaya, and it's yeah, a lot of the suttas are great stories. It's like fairy tales. Some of them are very, very repetitious, and it's because it started out with all of them being oral. It was only told stories, and then it helps if you're repeating something. So a lot of the suttas, they're very repetitional. I find that very calming and very almost go into a deep meditation state when I read them. So I really enjoy it. Anyways, in this sutta, there you're asking yourself 4 questions before you speak, and you need to ask yourself: is it true? If you're doing something and I want to say something to you about it, give you a good advice or whatever I want to do, then I need to ask myself: is it true? What you want to say, is it true? And already by asking yourself that, a lot of times you can't actually say anything, because how do you know if something is true? I know that it's true to me, but is it true like in general truth, or is it just my perception of it? So that's the first question you ask yourself: is it true? And if you find out, yes, this is absolutely truth, then you ask yourself: is it helpful? What I want to say to you, is it helpful? Or am I helping me by saying this to you? Am I making my life easier by telling you this and that? So it needs to be helpful to you, not just helpful to me. Then I need to ask myself if it's kind. A lot of times when we when people start in Buddhism and start to practice Buddhism, they want to be truthful, they want to be honest. And a lot of times honesty can be very, very brutal. If you don't have any kindness and compassion and love in what you're saying, if you don't have that as a part of what you're saying, then it's brutal. So honesty without compassion is brutality. You need to, whenever you speak or say your truth, you need to say it with kindness and compassion. If you can't do that, then be quiet. Don't say anything. And the last one is it now? Is now the right time to say it? You know, if you are on your way out, for example, I was traveling with my mom. My mom, she's 82, lovely, lovely lady. She's 82. And whenever we're traveling, she gets very, very stressed about all the things she needs to remember. And we were standing in the door, and I suddenly remembered she had forgotten to pack something. It was irrelevant. We could just buy it on the destination when we get there. Not relevant at all. So I decided it's not helpful for me to tell her that she'd forgotten the thingy, and she needed to, you know, stop what she was doing, turn around, open the suitcase and put the thing. That would have been way, way, way too much for her. Would have been so stressful. So it was more helpful not to say it at that point. And then when we got to the destination, just go out and get it. And that's it. Those are the 4 levels that you need to be aware of before you open your mouth. And when you start to become aware of this, then in the beginning, you don't feel you can say anything because you're so used to just blabber everything out instead of really reflect on what you're saying. Another thing is there are a lot of speech precepts, and precepts is kind of like guidelines to do good in the world. And a lot of the speech precepts are about how you communicate. So Obviously, don't lie. I mean, that is like the lowest bar for any communication, isn't it? Don't lie. But also remember that a lot of times when we lie, we say a little white lie as if the size and the color of a lie is making any difference at all. Obviously, it doesn't. A lie is a lie. And a lot of times when we lie towards other people, we say it's to prevent them for sadness, or to kind of like protect them. That's why I'm saying a little white lie. Well, if you really think about it, it never is. It's about protecting you. So lies is obviously, that's not right speech. Then there's divisive speech, and divisive speech is not only about what you say. Remember that I think it's like 85% of all communication that we have is body language. So it's also, if you say something to me and I roll my eyes at you, that's divisive speech. And everyone who sees me do that, I am communicating the divisive speech too. So let's say you and I were standing, somebody's saying something, and I roll my eyes. Immediately, I give you an indication about my opinion about that person. So me just rolling my eyes, that's divisive speech. So when we talk about speech, I know it probably wasn't a part of what the Buddha, what he meant. I mean, 2,500 years ago, I don't think we knew that much about micro expressions and body language, but we do now, which means that the way that you communicate with your body language, it needs to be part of your right speech. Then there's abusive speech. That's just, being nasty. Calling names. Don't ever call anybody any names. Call them by their name. Abusive speech is when you want to manipulate people into something, or you are yelling in an argument, let's say, whenever the volume is higher than normal speaking volume, that's abusive speech. All profanities is abusive speech. This is completely uncalled for. You don't need that. And whenever you do that, then you are away from you and in your ego. There's something that you don't want. You want something else, and preferably you want the other person to do that. That's why you're yelling and why you're arguing. And then there's chit chat, idle chatter, gossip, small talk, all the things that are not important at all in any conversation. A lot of times, instead of idle chatter and chit chat and small talk, silence would be much more useful. And the positive mantra that you can use for that, which is also a positive precept, is with truthful communication or purify my speech.